It's the Stockboy scientific testing process of GTA Online, and it starts now. Welcome to the Stockboy Gaming channel. If you're a subscriber, thanks so much for tuning in. If you're not, thank you as well, but it might be time to get your together and subscribe. Today we're going to be going through my entire testing process using this monster right here, the Vysser Neo. I love this car. If you've seen my other videos, you've probably heard me rave about it. It's a beast and it's a lot of fun. It's also probably the hardest car to drive in GTA, so you'll get to see me try to tackle my test track with it. Maybe we'll set a new time, who knows. But we're going to go through everything that I do with every car that I test. Gearing up for that summer update. There are going to be a lot of cars hopefully that I'll be able to test for you, so now you'll know exactly how it's done. The very first place that I test all my modified cars is La Puerta Dragway, and I can get accurate quarter and half mile times using the GTA timers and the Rockstar editor. It's something that I don't think has been done before, and it's pretty cool, so it gives us a more full picture of the performance of each car. The first thing that's going to be important here is that we get a perfect start, and you can get a perfect start essentially, which is what we're going for. It takes a couple of tries. You see, I started a recording in the bottom left, and on the top right is the view that we're going to look at in the Rockstar editor. You can't see it very well, but on the top right of that picture-in-picture is the time that it took me to get to the quarter-mile line from when I started the recording. That's where the math is going to come in. We're going to do the exact same thing at the half-mile line, as you see here. It's still recording, we're still going. We avoided a little gremlin there. You saw that thing pop up. That was a complete accident when I created this track, but it makes it a little more interesting when you hit a buoy that randomly pops up through the floor. Once we get all the way to the end, we have our full race time. And on the bottom left, it tells us the recording time at 33.8. is going to be our full race time, which is actually a new record for the Vysser Neo, which is pretty awesome. Now, I'm not going to go too in-depth on what you're seeing on the screen now. I have another video called How to Record Accurate Quarter Mile Times. Be sure you check that out after we finish up here. There's a lot of good information in there, and you'll get a better understanding of how I do this. But for the basics, A minus B is going to give us D, our mystery time, and then, using that, D plus C gives us our quarter mile time. So that's how all these times are calculated, and I calculate half mile times the exact same. You can also see in here we've got our new records compared to the original times that I had. While it's just a couple hundredths of a second, it's still pretty neat to get new times for the Neo. Now that the Neo's been tested on a drag strip, I want to take it to a speedway. See how fast the average speed is around this 1.42 mile custom track. Now I've measured as well the distance for the route that I take for the cars, and there are various rules and track limits for each of my tests that you can find at stockboygaming.com. But basically what we're doing is trying to get this thing around the oval as fast as possible within those track limits. One of those is taking this back stretch high, and then another one is exiting turn 5 high, which you'll see after this next long corner. What that does is it gives us a 1.41 mile lap, and using 1.41 miles and the time that it takes us to get around the track, we can calculate the average speed over the course of this lap, which is pretty cool. This is another track record for the Vysser Neo, which is pretty awesome. We're going to go ahead and update that on the site. Rate of speed equals distance over time plus some other math to convert seconds to hours tells us now that this car averages a 139.8 mile an hour around the speedway, which is awesome. It's up 1 mile per hour from our previous result. Now we need to figure out how well a car handles. Well, what better way to do that than with a custom built, very technical test track, and that's exactly what the Stockboy test track is. You'll see you spend pretty much the whole lap turning, and we're going to take just a slow lap to get used to the track. It's a very short sprint to the first right-hand corner. It's a very sharp right. That goes immediately to the left, and it opens up as you go along. That kind of launches you into this uphill hairpin, and the hairpin launches you back down onto a semi-straightaway. This is also the first curve zone if I'm testing a car that has curves, mainly open wheelers. Right here we're going to take a hard left, and it's a trail braking left. I modeled it kind of after Bahrain Grand Prix circuit if you like Formula 1, and then these twin 90-degree right-handers are banked, and they can cause a lot of trouble for a car that oversteers or understeers. That launches you back downhill to another tight left hairpin. You need to take a late exit there because it's right back onto the right with a long sweeping right-hander. You don't want to miss that turn. And then you're back down the back stretch. This is the reverse layout start line to another trail braking corner that goes right into a chicane. And then you're hard on the gas and turning right as hard as you can. And this is a banked 180-degree corner. After that, you're right back onto the main stretch after a high-speed chicane, heading down to the start-finish line. It's a short lap, but it's definitely technical and it's pretty difficult. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna see if we can set a hot lap time with the Neo. This is a really tough car to drive on this track, but we're gonna give it a shot. My record is, what is it? It is 56.458 seconds. We're gonna try to beat it. So here you can see we get a little bit of a tail coming out there, but we didn't lose too much time. We're still flying down this back stretch, I guess if you call it. We're gonna run right into the Bahrain corner. Love that corner. Very tricky section right here if you're driving a car like the Neo that loves to oversteer on you kind of from out of nowhere. And this car is tricky too because you have to keep the speed up. It's all-wheel drive and it bogs down if you don't. So that's why you see me taking that Bahrain corner a little bit wider maybe. But now we're barreling down the back stretch. Got to get hard on the brakes for this little chicane, and then pretty much flat out wide open throttle all the way through that bank corner as we head to the high-speed chicane and down the home stretch. What do you think? Are we going to get a record? We come pretty darn close. I mean, if you didn't believe me that I could do this in 56.458 seconds, there's a 56.523 for you. Not too bad, I'll take it. Now, what about open wheelers? Do we have some rules for them? Track rules in general. Absolutely. With open wheelers, I only test them on hard compound tires. It gives us a better idea of how the car performs in general. And that right there is the curve zone. So the first straightaway is the first curve zone. I look at it kind of like a DRS zone, if you're familiar with Formula One. Two areas where during testing they're the only places on the track where I can activate the curves. As far as corners go, I take some of the corners on the VR8 a little more sharply just because it can kind of handle it. But if you want more of an idea of what my track limits are here, stockboygaming.com has a full list of them, so you can take a deep dive there if you want. The back, or the front stretch, sorry, we're already there in the VR8. That's another curve zone. As soon as you go under the Chappelle gantry, which the Neo is crossing under just now, that's where I activate curves again for those vehicles. And I gotta say, the Neo, that's pretty impressive. 10 seconds slower than the BR8, but when you consider that it's an open wheeler, I mean, that's actually not too bad. The Neo can really move. That's how I test cars in 9 minutes. It looks pretty simple in 9 minutes. It usually takes quite a bit to get 100% laps out of these cars, especially a car like the Neo. But I hope you enjoyed the video. I try to make everything as cinematic as possible so that you can enjoy it a little bit. It's not quite the same as just following a car around on screen, hopefully. If you did enjoy it, please subscribe. It helps me out a ton. And share with your buddies so we can help grow the channel. I want to build the best car community in GTA. I think we can do it, but I can't do it without you.